Hello and welcome to the D3 Podcast. This is your host, Matt, joined as always by Sam, John, and Kevin. How's it going, boys?
It's good. It's good.
Yo, phenomenal on my end. Look at this jersey, boys. Look at this. San Antonio custom jersey. Got my name. Because, let's be honest. LaMarcus Aldridge, he's out. New center. What are we talking about? I'm right
New
here.
center.
New center. My lady friend got me this.
One of
It's great.
Sam, it's got to be one of those situations where you have another person and then your guys are just wearing a trench coat and you're like on his shoulders or something like that, right? Like that's how it's going to work.
What are you talking about? I'm like 6'7".
Oh, yeah.
John,
I see that you are hyper-focused right now. How stressed are you right now?
I'm really stressed. As we're recording, I'm watching Illinois versus Ohio State right now for the Big Ten Championship. There is 3 minutes, 52 seconds left in overtime. Best friend Kofi's at the free throw line. He missed one. Let's see if he makes the next one. He did not. So I'm pretty stressed right now. I'm not feeling great. I'll be honest, but we're gonna get through this. So
yeah, we're gonna get through this. It's really funny because college basketball, those shots are not great. So missing your free throws in college, that's a real bad move, man. So why don't we get into it with some NBA updates? We have first one, which is members of the Pelican team have received their first dose of the vaccine. That's really great news. That's really great news to hear. Sam, do you know specifically who got it, or was it just a broad statement?
It seems pretty broad. I'm guessing it's not players. It's just more like team, like facilities managers.
Okay.
I heard some assistant coaches, but hopefully it's just a jump start to at least like motivate the players to, get involved and at least start spread the word, because we're getting there, boys. We're getting more, more vaccines coming out, and hopefully all of us can by summertime have a good time. So it's a good start for the NBA, though.
Yeah, listen.
And I do know some Pelicans players did get the vaccine, and I think my guess, because one of the things that makes you eligible sooner is weight. I'm guessing Zion was among those people.
Obesity. Okay.
Obesity. More like just being a goddamn train. Like that's just. It goes. It's like in the spectrum. It goes obesity and then / train. Like that's just how it is now. Yeah, it's really great shit to hear. Let's go to the next one, Kevin. Meyers Leonard. He did a bad thing, man. He didn't do something very good. He's suspended for 1 week and then indefinitely out by Miami. Out for Miami. What more can we say about this?
It's not funny, but it's the way he did it was like funny when you watch the clip, because he immediately recognized what he said and the implications that it would have immediately after it, because he said this thing and then immediately went just like, anyway, and then like moved on, and you could just tell like in his reaction that he knew he screwed up, and he did. But he came out and he's apologized. It sounds like Julian Edelman actually reached out to him and like wanted to talk and tell him about why that is not good to say and things like that. So I think that's cool. But yeah, like when you're an NBA star like that, like, you can't be doing that. Come on now, Myers. Come on now.
Yeah, that's looked down upon when you start spewing some anti-Semitic shit. That's a no-go for me, dude. that's a no for me, dog. John, one of Kevin's boy, Anthony Davis, he's out an additional 2 weeks. What does this mean for the Lakers?
Only bad things. I think that the Lakers are like 4-6 in their last 10 games. Really does some damage to the LeBron James MVP case. And just like they need Anthony Davis back. They need their other like top 10 player to be playing basketball for them. And so the fact that like, that he's going to be out even longer is tough for their seeding purposes, especially because the West is so tight. But, He'll be back in time for the playoffs with plenty of time to spare, frankly. But like he'll be back in time for the playoffs. That's what matters. But yeah, the Lakers not looking so soul crushing at the moment with so many guys being out.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to see them come back down to earth. It's nice to know that a team isn't specifically like God. So that's good. Yeah. That's good to hear.
Look, Skip Bayless came out saying that Kyle Kuzma is like the clutchest Lakers player on this team. He should be the team's closer. Kevin, what are your thoughts on Kyle Kuzma being the rejuvenating force of this somewhat dying Lakers roster?
Can we cancel Skip Bayless or something? Like, is that an option? I don't want to hear anything he says ever again. I hate every single opinion he's ever come out with, I think.
Yeah, that's a rough take, man. That's not a good take. I'm sorry. Kyle Kuzma is not your clutch player. What a dumb thing to say. Speaking of players being out for a little bit, Sam Embiid, our boy, our very hopeful MVP candidate, not looking so good for that MVP race right now. Embiid is out for 2 weeks with, thank God, a bone bruise. Looked much worse than that, but so hopefully this is kind of lucky that it was just a bone bruise. How are we feeling about Philadelphia right now without Embiid?
I think they're okay. I mean, they have Ben Simmons, at least a defensive factor. And I think this team has some cohesiveness, and I think there's stability with the coaching, which is something we haven't seen in a while for Philly. So I think Doc Rivers got the plays. Dwight Howard has actually been playing phenomenal. I know he's a regular season guy. We know he has no presence in the playoffs, but he's actually been able to fill up the role accordingly. And I think that I don't want to say they're not going to miss him, but like he'll be able to fill up some of the void to at least keep him afloat.
John, do you think that this is the striking force where it's just like, okay, Embiid out for 2 weeks? Is this kind of like we can safely assume that his MVP discussion is pretty much done with, or is there a slight chance, do you think?
I mean, there's still a chance, but I personally have a feeling this will be the thing that kind of kills it, especially with like, the other two candidates right now are especially like LeBron and Jokic. They're guys who haven't missed any games, which is, a lot of luck there as far as not missing games for like COVID reasons too. Their teams haven't been super affected by that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it makes it tough for Embiid, unless he comes back and is still just like dominating, but even more. It would be tough because he's going to miss a good chunk of games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not looking good for that MVP candidacy, which is very unfortunate because he was very deserving of it after all of the stuff that he's done this year so far.
He'll probably have enough time played to like be like he'll probably still have enough time played to. Well, actually, no, he might not be first team All-NBA because that might be Jokic, but he'll be like top 2, probably.
Yeah, for sure, which makes sense. And like, I guess that's not really necessarily a bad thing to give it to Jokic when it's not Embiid, because Jokic has also been insanely good this year. Kevin, your favorite player just passed Hakeem for the 11th in all-time scoring. Mellow, baby. He did very mellow things. How are we feeling about the man, the myth, the legend, passing Hakeem?
I feel like he's one of those players that I love to shit on, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, like, I got to give him respect. He's been around for a while. He's been doing really cool things. Like, he is definitely probably like a long-term, like, I would probably say he's Hall of Famer, like long-term. He's really good. He has done so well for so long, like so many awesome people. So yeah, props to him for passing that crazy record. Like he deserves it. He's been busting his ass, especially the past like 2 years or whatever when he came back and no one expects him to do anything, and he's kind of been at least contributing. So
yeah, absolutely. I
that.
Yeah, for sure. And it's definitely not like we do love shitting on Melo just because all he does is score. But good for him. That's a hell of an achievement. John, speaking of records being broken, James Harden just passed Larry Bird on the all-time scoring list for 34th. I feel like this was meant to happen.
Yeah, I mean, James Harden is going to retire much higher on this list. He is someone who just, I think his game will age pretty well because he doesn't really depend on his athleticism too much to get things done. And he's just he is a pretty versatile scorer and really capable of reinventing his game. He's going to be someone who retires probably top 10 all time. He's like one of the best scorers we've seen. It's just, yeah. So this is awesome for him. Celtics, tough year for you guys.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it really has been. But I want to check in with you. I know one of our main concerns was like how this Nets team is going to look. How are we feeling about the Nets right now, John?
I feel really good about the Nets. Mm-hmm. I think they're even better than I expected, and Kevin Durant's not even playing. Like, I'm fully very hyped at this team. If they're all healthy going into the playoffs, they're gonna do good things. They're gonna be pretty hard to stop. So I think this Nets team is pretty incredible, and there's still, I believe, a move left to be made. They're gonna add some defensive presence somewhere on that roster.
Yeah, sure, because they kind of have to with Blake Griffin.
Yeah, I mean the Blake thing is weird. I really am curious. I'm excited to see how they use him because I don't understand why they want to totally. So, so it'll be cool. But even then, just having a guy like Blake Griffin is just like a piece off your bench is such a luxury. Like they're gonna be, I really like the Nets. They're a lot of fun.
Sam, Karis LeVert. He's back, baby. Returns to the Pacers. He just played his first game, right?
Yeah, he just played his first game. Pulled up his stats real quick. 13 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. Can't complain. I mean, when I come back like that, I mean, this is like perfect for what this team needs. It's a very skewed average, but I think they chose like 9 players on the Pacers average double-double. Or not double-double, but double-digit points. And it's good. I think this is what the team needs. They definitely did drop off with just a lot of injuries. And I think there's lost a lot of things, honestly. Like, there's no TJ Warren presence. Obviously, Victor Oladipo's gone. But hopefully, Karis LeVert coming back in can actually fill up a lot of those voids, because what he did for Brooklyn is, I think, for the teams that we all have and appreciate watching, that's the missing piece, is that someone that actually gives a fuck about playing the game just because he wants to win. And I think this is going to be great for this team. I think they can easily, in an Eastern Conference like this, I think they can get back to the 4th seed, honestly.
How are we feeling about them in the playoffs in general with Karis LeVert minus the Oladipo piece?
I mean, they're probably going to get knocked out of the first round. It's sad because you feel like there's so much potential there, but they're just a middle of the road team. We said that last year too. It's just I love all these pieces, and I think they work together, but I just don't know why they can't get past it. And I think it might just be maybe just Miles Turner just not evolving to what we had wanted him to do. I think it's good that he is staying to his expertise now of just being a defensive rim runner. And I actually really like that, to be honest. And I think that's what he wasn't doing before. I think they have a better chance of getting to the next round, but I think I still see them being just still in first round knockout.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go around the podcast with this next one. We are now coming back from the All-Star with a bit of a slump from some of these teams. So, Kevin, I'm going to have you talk about their Pelicans loss to the Timberwolves. John, you're going to talk about the Warriors' loss to the Clippers. And Sam, you're going to talk about the Philly destroying Chicago. So, Kevin, let's start with you.
I think it's tough to see that. I mean, the Pelicans have been kind of rocky for a little bit now anyway this season. It's been a tough season for them. And I think this was just the perfect game for the Timberwolves to kind of come back and boost their confidence a bit. And I think they were really looking for a game to the Timberwolves have been really bad. So I think they were really trying to get hyped, trying to get something together. And then this game, they really were clicking and everything like that. Anthony Edwards scored 27 points. Jalen Noel scored 28. That's crazy. And then the Pelicans, I think, are just it seems like they're just tired, Zion is good still, but Brandon Ingram's doing almost nothing. Lonzo is awesome when he's on. He's abysmal when he's not. And I think it was just one of those weeks, and so I'm I would be surprised if they can really turn around 100%, but I think it's going to be slow to pick themselves back up from this.
Yeah,
they just seem tired. Yeah.
A loss to the Timberwolves by 30 points is rough. Not to mention that Lonzo is wearing the wrong jersey. I believe the jersey color they should be wearing is red, and it needs to have some Chicago Bulls on there. Just saying. John, I did notice some reaction from you. How's your team doing, man?
Oh, it's looking pretty good, folks. It's looking pretty good. I just want to take a second here to say big Muck Michigan energy. They lost to Ohio State. They lost to fucking us. They lost to the team that we just beat, baby. Big Ten tourney champions got robbed from the Big Ten regular season title because some petty little bullshit with this Michigan team. All love to Juwan Howard, but no love to Michigan. Get fucked, losers. Heading to the tourney for sure. Going to be a 1 seed. Gonna run this fucking shit. Get ready, you fucking losers, baby. That's some NCAA shit for you.
ILI!
Boom, boom, boom. ILLINI, baby. Here we go. All the way today. Yeah, this is pretty sick. I'm pretty hyped. So yeah, what do you want me to talk about? Do you want me to talk about the fucking Warriors?
John, you're going to talk about the Warriors' loss to the Clippers.
They lost to the Clippers. Yeah, I mean, it was bad. Nothing was falling. They were like 9 for 36 from 3. They were just like, it was just a terrible night. No one scored more than like 15 points for the Warriors. They looked cold. They looked really cold, which is tough for them because the way the West is shaken out, I mean, that put them down to a 9 seed. But God, to be in the top 8 in the West is such a fucking tall task. Like, it's a bloodbath out there. Like, the Warriors are a good team, but they are not, like, they're in trouble. And this game is just kind of more proof of that. Like, there's just levels to this shit. The Warriors are good, but, like, they're in a tough conference, and they need to pick it back up if they want to sneak into this very tight playoff race.
Yeah, and John, I do want to bring this up. There was a big clip that was going around Twitter, at least, of Steph getting like really, really hyped on the sidelines and stuff like that, like really trying to get his team back. Do you think this All-Star game that Steph came back from really like put a jump in his step or something like that? Like he's really like, dude, I just played with some of the best players ever. Let's fucking get this team better.
Yeah, like play better or I'll make them trade with the Lakers. No, I mean Steph loves basketball. Steph loves winning. He's been winning for like over half a decade now. Like he's been on basically the best team in basketball. Is what he's used to. And he definitely, I'm sure, left the All-Star game feeling motivated. Like, hey, we gotta get rolling. People are already out here saying Dame is better than me. We got some doubters to silence. I'm sure he's pissed because the rest of his team, frankly, they're just nowhere near playing up to his level, which is just, also something he's not used to. Have guys who can elevate their game close to like what he can do and who can play successfully off of him. So, I mean, I'd be pissed too, frankly, if I had to run every night. So I'm rooting for the Warriors, but it's like, it's tough. It just is. The West is just really, really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Sam, we're just going to quickly go through this one because we're not going to talk too much about how Chicago got completely railed. I'm kidding. You say as much as you want. I'm not going to stop you, but Philly beat Chicago by quite a bit, and Embiid and Simmons wasn't a part of that, which makes it much, much worse. Why don't you go over that?
Look, I'm just saying for all the Chicago hype, but this one's like an easy grab. That's all I'm saying. It's easy grab. They're basically giving you the win. When you let Dwight Howard get 18 points on you, shameful. That's all I have to say. Dwight Howard should not be getting points on you. And it's even more shameful is that Lauri Markkanen, the guy that everyone is now has a target on his back in Chicago, is the leading scorer for this team. I mean, to be honest, Chicago doesn't play defense, and I think we kind of just know that historically. Last time they played defense was when Michael Jordan won Defensive Player of the Year. But on a good note, your boy Pat Williams +0, so he was neither good nor bad. So you can't be mad about there. But Tobias Harris is really making a strong standpoint for the 76ers. I think he's obviously a snub. I have no respect from my standpoint, but I think it's good to know that you have a reliable scorer from him. Seth Curry, Matisse Thybulle for the first time scored double digits, so I was just like genuinely mind blown at that. And perfect from three. So I mean, what else could you ask? I mean, probably the greatest draft of all time at that point. Dwight Howard team, my boy, the Turkish freak, Furkan Korkmaz. Yep, that's right. Last man on the bench, 16 points. All right, only 1 3-man. That's all I have to say. That's big trouble for Chicago. Not really. I mean, like you said, with the East, everyone's from 4 to 12 is like 1.5 games away from each other. So it's not a big deal. But I mean, it was a cash grab at this point. You could have got a win here.
So there is something that I want to bring up that I saw on Twitter, and we could just go around the podcast really quickly on this take. Somebody posted a take basically saying that Jimmy Butler is playing better than peak Derrick Rose. Are we buying or selling that take? I'll start with you, Kevin.
Ooh. I think I'm selling just because I think they're totally different styles of play. Like Derrick Rose is the 2K slasher. He's that slasher. He can get through past anyone, drive up to the basket, like make this beautiful layup that's gorgeous that you just fawn over. And he like peak Derrick Rose is just beautiful to watch. Super well executed plays and things like that and smart basketball. Whereas Jimmy's like, I don't care what the hell I look like doing this play. I'm going to finish it and I'm going to make sure we score on this possession. Like, I don't care what I have to do. I don't care how ugly it is. But fundamentally, Jimmy's playing really, really, really well.
Yeah.
So I love that. So I think they're I would sell on it just because I think they're like kind of incomparable. They're two totally different styles of play. That being said, I think Jimmy is really, really, really good this year. But I still, even if they did play the same type of basketball, I don't know if he's at peak Derrick Rose yet.
Yeah, you know what, Kevin? You're right. They are two very different styles. One of them was an MVP. The other one isn't. Kevin, or actually, John, I'm going to go with you next.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's Jimmy's playing great. I don't. There's nothing you can take away from him. He's damn near averaging a triple-double, and it's awesome. But like Kevin said, they're like totally. It's so hard to compare because Jimmy just plays a completely different game. Like Derrick Rose is not known for his defense,
right?
Like ever at any point in his career, he was like serviceable when he had his athleticism. But yeah, I don't know. I can't be rational about that. I mean, Derrick Rose is fucking only MVP Chicago's had since Michael Jordan. Like it's all love for Derrick Rose. So these Twitter folks trying to sow division amongst the Bulls and Heat fandom. When we have free and fair open trade, we had the Dwayne Wade ambassadorship for 1 year to Chicago. Just as we've lent out Jimmy Butler to them. Just like fucking hop off it. Appreciate these two guys who play nothing alike, completely different positions. And I would like to see. Have you seen fucking Derrick Rose jump? I mean, get fucking off it. Like, that's crazy. It scares the shit out of me. Just like fucking. Like, get over yourselves, you fucking nerds. Like, Jesus Christ. Go watch a fucking highlight reel, you goddamn losers. Like, I don't know. Shit's corny. I love Jimmy, but it's different.
Yeah, I get it. And Sam, do you want to really quickly just go off of that one?
Yeah, I'm going to buy solely because he probably shouldn't have won MVP that year. I'm just saying, LeBron played.
He probably should.
He probably should have been third. I think Dwight Howard played really well too. But I respect the guards. Guards don't get much love. But I was gonna say guards don't get much love. But then Steve Nash was back-to-back. Steph Curry was back-to-back. So maybe that's not what it is. But I think I just like the hard-nosed character of Jimmy Butler. Like I loved him in the Timberwolves. That was the last time the Timberwolves were good, was when Tom Thibodeau and Jimmy Butler were there, because they're both hard-nosed, and they're the only ones that can actually get people who want to be there, be there. If you don't want to be there, get out. That's how they built the culture, especially in Miami as well. With Derrick Rose, what I respect is that he's actually he's a very humble dude. Like, he doesn't brag about it. You see his celebration on his game winner, it's just straight face. All right, he's a straight face emoji. He's just vibing at that point, and it's a shame we didn't get to see the full peak, because it was straight up just this. It's a triangle. That's what we saw peak deep was set. And I wish it was maybe a little bit like this. But I think with the guy, I think it doesn't really make sense to compare them. Whoever wrote that tweet, can you retweet saying that you're a dumbass motherfucker? They don't know what you're talking about. Clearly, you don't know what basketball is and how it's so different with each position. But I'll just go with the take that Butler. I go with Butler just because I just like the hard-nosed attitude.
That's and fine. we never got to see Derrick Rose play with the spacing that Jimmy Butler has available to him in Miami. That didn't exist when Derrick Rose was good at basketball. So it's a tough comp, especially because Derrick's biggest contribution was offense, and he didn't get to play in the free open offenses that exist now.
Yeah, absolutely. John, Kevin Porter Jr. coming out hot for the Rockets. How are we feeling about him?
He's good, man. That's what even Kevin Love said it when he was on the Road Trippin' podcast. He said that Kevin Porter was everyone would agree was probably the most talented person on their team. He just hated being in Cleveland, as it turns out. He just didn't like Cleveland. Didn't like the team. Didn't like the role they gave him. So now he's in Houston. They've got nothing to lose, so they're going to let him ball out. He's good. He's really talented, and it's fun to see this happen on such a shitty team. Yeah, good for him. Hopefully it's something real. He can turn it into being a near all-star level player, and it'd be good for them.
Awesome. Sam, really quickly, why don't you just give us your 5 cents on CJ McCollum returning, and then we are going to get into the trade block.
Look, I think I give props to this Portland team for still surviving, basically staying put in a really tough Western Conference. So, glad to have CJ back. I'm to be honest, I wouldn't even rush him. There's really no rush because they're going to fluctuate between the 4th and 5th seed. But it's good to see with his return for this team, because it's much needed. They need another scorer so they don't have to double team Dame every time. So I'm excited. We all love Dame. You cannot hate on Dame. You can't hate on CJ. So I'm excited.
Absolutely. Why don't we get right into the trade block? Boys, first one on the block, we have LaMarcus Aldridge. Your boy, Sam, LaMarcus Aldridge.
He wasn't really my boy, all right? He was my boy when we had our big three, and then went downhill because he doesn't change his game, and he's just a selfish player, to be honest. But he has been absolutely trash. Kevin, I know you picked him up the last 2 seasons, and it was really good the first season, and the second season he went a lot downhill. And he said he doesn't want to be a bench player. So, Pop said, hey, mutually agreed, we don't want to be here, so we're trying to trade him. There's a lot of teams that are really interested, a lot of contenders that are really interested. I think the best fit... I think the best fit, honestly, would be either the Miami Heat or the Boston Celtics, solely because they don't have a really scoring presence. And I think that's kind of what these teams need. Boston Celtics obviously just built around the small forward game, which is really good. But when you see their big man, they don't really have production on either side of the game. And I think that you should at least get one half of the game. And I think offense is what you can do at this point. So I think that's what you're going to get out of Aldridge. He's not going to play defense. I saw a highlight of him. There's a guy jumping from the free throw line, and he just stuck his hand out. He didn't even move. He just stuck his hand out because he just couldn't move. He literally could not move closer. So his defensive era has ended, but I think there's a lot of offensive potential so long as he can accept that role of getting 10 points a game.
That's fair. Kevin, what are we feeling about Andre Drummond?
Ooh. I don't know. I'm torn on him. I don't think anyone should go after him too hard, in my opinion. I think realistically, I I guess I don't hate the Celtics for him just because like I think they kind of could use someone to just like a big man, an actual big man who can just stand under the basket and do the bare minimum on the Celtics, and I think he could be that. But I think if they get him, they'll overpay for him a lot. So I don't know. But I don't know if he's the best fit there. Maybe the Hornets, just because again I think they could use another big man other than like Cody Zeller. Who again just stand under the basket, get rebounds all day. That's all. That's what Andre Drummond is meant for right now. Like, and then the rest of the team on the Hornets can take care of the scoring and most of the other defense. So that might be a good option.
Yeah. Plus, it'd be nice to have have a veteran on that team other than Gordon Hayward. John, the man, the myth, the legend, Kevin Love, in a very unfortunate spot in Cleveland. Where would you want to see him go?
I mean, I don't even know how you can move Kevin Love at this point. Like,
yeah,
his contract is huge. He's not like he's just like not like a player worthy of what you're gonna have to pay for him. Teams would have to make a lot of space to fit that contract in, and then it's like, okay, what do I even get? I've barely seen this guy play for like 2 years. But, you know, I mean, there's places that could use him. I mean, shit, like, I don't know. Golden State could use a floor spacer. Ironically enough, they could use some spacing. I could see, like, you know, he's always belonged in Boston, just spiritually, I think. So maybe they can make that happen.
No.
But I don't know, like, I don't know who would be in a huge rush to get Kevin Love. I have a hard time thinking of a great place for him to go because, like, I don't even know how good he is anymore.
Right.
I haven't seen him play in forever. So,
yeah.
I guess, like, kind of a wash. I'm, like, more like, it's mostly, for me, it's, like, good luck, Cleveland, like, moving this contract. Like, I don't know.
That's totally fair. Sam and Kevin, which one of you guys wants to talk about PJ Tucker? Because I know you both are big Tucker fans. So which one of you wants to talk about him?
Kevin, I'll defer to you. I know you love your PJ.
All right, Kevin, let's get that PJ. What you feeling about?
I was actually just thinking about this. I think a weird spot for him that I just thought of, but I don't think they'll ever make this move. But I like the idea of him on the Nuggets. Like as an assistant to Jokic kind of thing, as like another big man that is kind of offensive heavy. Like he doesn't play as good defense as he used to. But that guy that can like we were saying about the other people, like he can stretch the floor a little bit for them. He can kind of add another level of depth to their team that I think they're lacking a little bit. I think the Nuggets are a pretty one-dimensional team, I guess I'd say. So I think PJ can kind of help with that a little bit. Otherwise, also the Warriors. I think the Warriors just need a deeper bench with big men and not just more guards and small forwards that can shoot threes. And PJ Tucker is perfect for that. He's a big man that can shoot threes. So easy.
Easy. Give the man his pancakes. Sam, we're going to talk about John Collins, your favorite team in the world, Atlanta. Where would you want John Collins to go?
I think John Collins is definitely going to get the bag. I think there is obviously the bad rep of like, hey, he has been taking like performance-enhancing drugs in the past, the AKA bad Chinese food from previous episodes.
Yeah.
But I think there's a ton of value for him, and I'm kind of surprised that Atlanta just didn't like give him the contract just to trade him for later, because then you have the biggest leverage at that point. There's not like a lot of people who are just gonna be like, oh man, we're going for like John Collins. Besides the Timberwolves, who are quote unquote dying to have John Collins. I think it's like that Timberwolves team is atrocious. Like I don't know what's going on there. I don't think bringing John Collins is going to be something that to keep Cat happy. the focus is if your goal is to build around Cat, then you need to focus on what his interests are. I think he needs to be part of the talks because you're talking to him like he is like the franchise piece. If he's a franchise piece, he needs to be in part of these discussions. I think we all can look back and say that the D'Lo trade was the biggest mistake for any of this to happen. They definitely did not pan out. These guys cannot stay on the floor together. And John Collins, I feel like the answer is like between three answers, right? It's like Boston, LA, one of those teams, or Miami. It's a big market team. I think that's where these guys can benefit. I think John Collins to the Mavericks, I think that would be kind of fun to see. Send Kristaps and like a pick or two over for Atlanta's here to make
and a pick.
Yeah, you gotta give a pick. Look, you gotta get it. No one wants this broken glass, okay? No one wants it. But I'd be okay. I'd be okay with it sending to the Mavericks. I hate the Mavericks, but to see Luka succeed and not have his time wasted, I think it might be an interesting fit.
That's totally fair. John, last one. Is Lowry coming back to Philly, or is he going somewhere else?
I was pretty confident he'd be moved, I think, just last week, and now I'm like a little less so because I think everyone is just like looking at his contract like, oh, geez, isn't it like $39 million? Like, that's a lot of space to free up for Kyle Lowry. I hope that I still think he'd be a great fit in Philly if they can make that work. I think it would be really worth it for them. I'm not so confident he gets moved now. We'll have to see, but I have a feeling his contract might be too big. If he does, I'm going to guess that it's Philly or potentially the Clippers, but I think the Clippers don't have enough to offer, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's it's not looking great for that. Not looking great in that situation. All right, we have the game of the week. So the game of the week that we had originally was the Celtics and the Nets. Why don't we go over that one really quickly, boys? First off, so that I can actually pull this up. When was that?
Man. It's already out of your vision because you didn't want to talk about the loss. I know you can say it was on Thursday.
Yep.
It was good to begin with, and then it kind of fell apart. And we know how it is. It's the Kyrie Irving show. Anytime he plays against his former teams, he just like balls out like there's no tomorrow. But like you've talked to us, Matt, as soon as he plays for that team, he will not play basketball at all. It's like for the Celtics, doesn't do anything. So how are you feeling about this? Having your homeboy Kyrie step into your grill and just punch you in the face?
He's punched me in the face enough when he was on the Celtics. So, it's whatever at this point, I guess. Look, if Kyrie isn't happy, he's not going to play well. I think that's just what it is. I think that's just how it is, honestly. He was a bitch in Boston, and he decided not to play well there. Of course, he had his own problems, so I can't stomp on that much. But it sucks. It sucks to see how well he's doing on the Nets and then look how he did on the Celtics. And it's just like, we missed that. Like, we didn't get that. Like, that fucking sucks to get to watch that. Now, when I said that the Celtics were going to beat the Nets, I was lying through my teeth because I knew that was not going to happen. This was going to happen. They were going to lose. Jason Tatum had a fantastic game, though. He got 31 points. So good for him. But this was very clearly the Kyrie Irving show. Kevin, John, do you have anything to add?
I think that
Not
about
really.
Yeah.
I just think James Harden's fucking spectacular. And the Nets rule and the Celtics. It's tough.
It's tough. That's a very nice way to put it, and I appreciate you saying it like that. Why don't we get into the game of the week that we have coming up? Sam was the one that was really pushing for this, so we decided to go for it. We have a battle in New York. We have the Knicks versus the Nets, baby. Never thought that this would actually be a game of the week because, the Knicks are the Knicks. But it turns out that they're not bad this year. They're not that bad. Sam, why don't I'm going to defer this one to you. Why don't you give us your we'll go first with who's going to win. We're going to go with a simple over-under of 220, and then we're going to go MVP of the game.
Oh, okay. Look, if we're talking about the Knicks are clearly going to win. They're the greatest team in NBA. Okay, I can't say that, but
yeah, I was going to say
I can't say that. But the third seed Knicks will happen. I can promise you this. Okay, I can give you a very empty promise, but it's going to happen. But I'm gonna say the Knicks are going to win this game. I think it'll be very close. I think it's going to be purely because the sizing is actually, I'm okay with it. Julius Randle's been balling now. He had triple-double coming back. Only team to actually do really well, but then blow like a 30-point lead the next game. But hey, that's a different story at this point. But for me, I think the X factor is going to be Emmanuel Quickly, who's been like balling out like there's no tomorrow. Really fun to watch this guy. He and Julius Randle are a perfect combo. And MVP though is J Rand. You can't go wrong with J Rand. He's an all-star guy. He's an all-star guy now. So it's gonna go below 220. I just feel like someone's gonna have a bad shooting night. It might be Kyrie, and I just don't see the Knicks scoring way too many points either. So
yeah, that's you know what? I'll give you that one. Right now, it kind of looks like the odds are very much so not in your favor. So you have the MVP, you have the winner, over under 220.
Yes, sir.
No, I mean, like, what are you picking, over or under?
I said under.
Oh, you said under? That's my bad. Kevin, we'll go to you next.
This one's tough. I think I got to go Nets on this one. By what, like a little under 10. I'm thinking like 7 or so. But I think that the tough thing is going to be, does Julius Randle show up and pop off? If he does, I think he can really take advantage of this Nets team. So I think he's going to be the deciding factor if the Knicks win it or not. And then I feel bad for this. I feel bad for the young blood RJ Barrett. Like, he's going to have to go up against Harden and Kyrie and really try to hold his own. He's been doing really well lately, but I think the dynamic duo of Kyrie and Harden are going to show him up and embarrass him a little bit. Obviously, I think the two of them are going to pop off and do most of the work for the Nets. I think they're both going to have like 30-point games or something like that, or at least high 20s. And I got to say over for the over-under. I think when the Knicks are playing really well, they actually are a really good offensive team too. Like, again, RJ Barrett, Julius Randle can score. Like Sam said, Emmanuel Quickly can score when he decides to. So I think if both teams are playing on point, it's definitely going to be an over.
All right, John.
All right, Nets win. Taking the over. The Nets are going to score 220 alone. Yeah, Nets win. Taking the over. I bet it's going to be like 135 to like 109. And then MVP, James Harden, X Factor, I don't know, like Joe Harris. Sure. I think the Nets got this one. But love to the Knicks. Good, they're fun. But they're not. These different leagues. It's going to be fun to watch the Nets take it to the predominant New York team. That'll be a fun little matchup.
Yeah, all I'm going to say is people are going to be singing praises of the Brooklyn Nets, and the Knicks are now a thing of the past. Nets over the Knicks. I'm definitely taking the over. I do have them. I know. I have them winning by at least 15 points. And MVP, it's going to be James Harden, because James Harden is just on his god shit or something. I don't know, man. He's on fire. That was our game of the week. Let's see if Sam somehow pulls the W on this one. Kevin did pick the Nets to win, so we have bad luck on our side. Thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast. This has been the Deep 3 Pod. You guys can find us on Instagram and on Twitter. We've got the fire memes coming at you, Kevin, and all the good shit coming at you. And then you guys can also listen to us on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and find us on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for listening to the show. Peace.
Tell us your favorite derogatory slur to use in Call of Duty below.